In the heart of the ancient Benin kingdom, the village of Uselu thrived in its quiet, serene beauty. Tall palm trees lined the dusty paths, and the rhythmic beats of drums echoed through the air during festivals. The people of Uselu lived simple lives, working the land and honoring their gods. But beneath this facade of normalcy lay a dark secret, a coven of powerful witches who secretly controlled the fate of the villagers. These witches were not the haggard old women of fairy tales. They were respected members of the community, hidden in plain sight. Market women, healers, even wives of village leaders, all part of a coven that held Uselu in its grip. Their power was immense, derived from ancient rituals passed down through generations. They met in secret, under the cover of night, in a secluded grove deep within the forest where no one dared to tread. Among the coven was J.O.Y, a beautiful and cunning woman who wielded more power than any other. Her charms and potions could bend the strongest will, and her knowledge of the dark arts was unparalleled. But her greatest weapon was her ability to manipulate others, using their deepest fears and desires against them. J.O.Y's ambition knew no bounds. She longed for more than just the control of Uselu. She desired power over the entire kingdom. Her eyes were set on the throne, and she knew that the key to her goal was in the hands of the Oba, the king of Benin. The Oba, oblivious to the true nature of the women who surrounded him, was vulnerable to their influence. J.O.Y began to weave her web, carefully plotting to overthrow the Oba and place herself in a position of ultimate power. But J.O.Y's plans did not go unnoticed. A young woman named Isoken, known for her intelligence and curiosity, had begun to notice strange occurrences in the village. People who angered certain women would fall ill or suffer terrible misfortune. Crops would wither, livestock would die, and yet no one would dare accuse the witches of foul play. Isoken's suspicions grew when she stumbled upon an ancient book hidden in her grandmother's belongings, filled with symbols and incantations she did not understand. Her grandmother had always been a healer, but the secrets within the book hinted at something far more dangerous. Determined to uncover the truth, Isoken began to investigate quietly, knowing that even the slightest misstep could lead to her death. Her search for answers led her to the grove one fateful night. Hidden in the shadows, she watched as the witches performed a ritual, their voices chanting in a language she had never heard. Fear gripped her heart as she realized the full extent of their power. But among the faces in the firelight, she saw something that shocked her to the core. Her own mother, one of the most respected women in Uselu, was among the coven. Isoken's world shattered in that moment. The truth was more than she could bear, but she knew she had to act. The fate of Uselu, and perhaps the entire kingdom, rested in her hands. But what could one young woman do against such formidable power? Torn between loyalty to her family and her duty to the village, Isoken struggled with the decision that lay before her. She could expose the witches and risk her own life, or she could remain silent and watch as J.O.Y's ambitions plunged the kingdom into chaos. In the end, Isoken chose to fight. She sought the help of an old priest, one of the few who still held knowledge of the ancient ways of protection. Together, they devised a plan to break the witch's power. But time was running out. J.O.Y had already set her final plan into motion, using her influence to cause strife within the palace. The Oba's advisors were turning against him, and civil war loomed on the horizon. On the night of the final confrontation, Isoken returned to the grove, this time not as a spy, but as a warrior. Armed with the knowledge of her ancestors, she stood before the coven, unafraid. J.O.Y, sensing the threat, unleashed her full power against the young woman. But Isoken's will was strong, and the protective charms of the old priest shielded her from harm. As the battle raged on, the grove itself seemed to come alive, the trees and earth reacting to the clash of dark and light. In a final desperate act, Isoken called upon the spirits of the land, invoking an ancient curse that had been buried in the book she had found. The ground trembled, and the witches' powers began to unravel. Their control over Uselu was broken, and one by one, they fell. J.O.Y, defiant to the end, tried to escape, but the curse bound her to the grove, trapping her for eternity. The village was free, but at a great cost. The secrets of the coven were exposed, and many respected families were shamed by the revelation of their ties to the dark arts. Isoken, hailed as a hero, became the protector of Uselu, her name forever remembered in the annals of the village. But the victory was bittersweet. Her family was torn apart by the truth, and the burden of what she had uncovered weighed heavily on her soul. In the end, the Witches of Uselu were no more, but the memory of their power lingered in the village, a reminder of the darkness that can hide behind even the most familiar faces. And though the land healed, the shadows of the past continued to cast their long, dark veil over Uselu, a place where secrets could never truly die.